Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV with support from the Southwest TV Translator Association.
If you have a news topic or event you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show runs Monday at noon, 3 and 6 p.m. and again is re-aired later throughout the weekend with the other weekday broadcast replays. Today is February 26, 2018. And now the news at noon.
Reported by the Durango Herald and the pictures from the Associated Press. The first treatment to help prevent serious allergic reactions to peanuts may be on the way. A company said Tuesday that its daily capsules of peanut butter help children build tolerance in a major study. Millions of children are allergic to peanuts, and some may have life-threatening reactions if accidentally exposed to them. Doctors have been testing daily doses of peanut contained in a capsule and sprinkled over food as a way to prevent that by gradually getting them used to a very small amount. California-based Immune Therapeutics said 67% of the kids who had its experimental treatment were able to tolerate the equivalent of roughly 2 peanuts at the end of the study, compared to only 4% of others given a dummy powder. But a big warning, don't try this at home. Jones helped lead the study consults for the company and will give the results of it at an allergy conference next month. The results have not yet been reviewed by independent experts. The study involved nearly 500 kids ages 4 to 17 with allergies so severe that they had reactions to as little as a tenth of a peanut. They were given either capsules of a peanut or dummy powder in gradually increasing amounts for 6 months, then continued on that final level for another 6 months. Neither the participants nor their doctors knew who was getting what until the study ended. About 20% of kids getting the peanut powder dropped out of the study, 12% due to reactions or other problems. The product showed overall good safety, Jones said.
Sadly, DCTV is reporting on the missing plane incident that was shared over Facebook last Friday. Late overnight Thursday into Friday, our local authorities were made aware that a plane had departed from Grand Junction on Thursday morning and may have gone down somewhere in our vicinity. We listened over the scanner at about 5 p.m. Friday evening at the end of the terrible snowstorm that came through Dove Creek that the plane had been found about 2.5 miles southwest of Eastland, and there were no survivors. Reported by KJCT8, Civil Air Patrol found the crash site in Utah. Quote, they left from Cutbank, Montana on the 21st, headed towards Albuquerque, New Mexico, said the son of the deceased pilot, John Kaup. The plane carrying 4 Canadians was last seen taking off in Grand Junction after being forced to land due to weather. About 10 o'clock in the morning the next day, my brother texted me saying they were just taking off for Albuquerque from Grand Junction, and that's the last I've heard, Kaup said, before knowing the final outcome of the situation. The weather was reportedly still rough when they took off. Quote, I have a friend of mine, a colleague, that said he had seen the plane take off yesterday and was surprised that they chose to take off in the weather conditions, said manager of Colorado Flight Center, Michael Clegg. But still, Bill Kaup, his other son, Clint, and 2 of their friends headed for Albuquerque. AP Updated reported John Kaup told KSL TV in Salt Lake City late Saturday that his father, 64-year-old pilot Bill Kaup, was among those killed in the southeastern Utah crash. Kaup says 28-year-old Clint Kaup, 28-year-old Tim Mueller, and 66-year-old Ron McKenzie were also killed. He says they were all grain farmers from Alberta, Canada, and they were headed to Albuquerque to look at a plane that Bill Kaup wanted to buy. All our sincerest condolences go out to the families who lost loved ones in the wreckage. On a hopeful note, twins were born into the family the next day, a healthy boy and girl added to the Kaup family farm. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating.
According to the Durango Herald, the idea of arming teachers to take out a shooter is alarming some law enforcement experts, who say it takes more than just being a good shot at a gun range. They say it would require specialized and repeated training to teach educators the proper tactics and enable them to conquer their fear and remain calm and clear thinking in a fast-moving life-or-death situation. The idea of arming teachers isn't new. Some schools around the country already allow educators to bring guns into school grounds. But the notion is gaining momentum after the shooting rampage at a high school in Parkland, Florida, last week that left 17 students and adults dead. It turned out that the only armed officer on duty at the school stayed outside rather than go in to confront the gunman. President Donald Trump suggested even paying bonuses to teachers willing to be trained to carry firearms at schools. Still, law enforcement experts note that police are trained for months in the academy and then are put through drills during their careers on such things as making split-second decisions in a crisis and dealing with the mentally ill. Experts who have spent careers on SWAT teams or other specialized units say it isn't something that comes naturally. It can take not just training, but real-life experience in pressure cooker situations where the instruction takes hold and they're able to respond effectively.
What's next for John Hickenlooper? A report in the Journal states the political horse race junkies in Washington are dying to know if a presidential run is in the cards for Governor John Hickenlooper. But the Colorado Democrat refuses to show his hand. The first attempt to coerce a straight answer out of the governor came from Politico's Gabrielle Debenetti early on Friday afternoon, who asked Hickenlooper in a sit-down when the public would see him campaigning in New Hampshire, the second stop on the road to the presidential nomination. Quote, "Since I was about 21, 22, I've gone to New Hampshire every summer," Hickenlooper said. "There's a beautiful lake up in north central New Hampshire. It's a lovely place, and my brother and I rent a place there." Hickenlooper quickly returned to his canned answer. "On my cell phone, on all of my cabinet members, we have a counter that shows how many days we have left," Hickenlooper said. "We have 321 days right now, as of last Friday, before the end of the term." At an event Friday evening, a reporter asked directly if the governor was thinking of running for president. "I still have 321 days left," Hickenlooper said. "I have a counter on my cell phone just like President Obama had, and all my cabinet had the counters." What about a Senate bid against Republican Cory Gardner in 2020? No luck. Hickenlooper immediately reverted to what his administration is working on in Colorado through the end of his term. So don't ask him, at least for 320 more days. "We're doing big stuff that no one else is doing," Hickenlooper said. "The moment I start talking about who I'm going to run against or what I'm going to do, I get distracted. My cabinet gets distracted." Finally, he relented just a little. He said he'd start thinking about what's next for him in the fall. Hickenlooper is one of a few of governors in Washington this week with rumors swirling about presidential ambitions. The other two are fellow Democrat Steve Bullock of Montana, vice chairman of the National Governors Association, and Kasich, who ran in 2016.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, Colorado set a record this week for the number of patients admitted to the hospital with flu in a season. Since October, 3,550 people have been admitted to the hospital with the flu, according to data compiled by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. In La Plata County, two people have been admitted in the hospital, and in Montezuma County, 19 people have been hospitalized. "This year is certainly unique," said Rachel Herlihy, state epidemiologist with the CDPHE. The state started collecting comparable flu data in the 2004-2005 season, and the latest numbers for hospitalizations break a record set in the 2014-15 flu season. Many people across the state are coming down with a strain of influenza A known as H3N2 that tends to send more older adults to the hospital, Herlihy said. The flu season across the state peaked in December, but the state is seeing the same number of cases now that it would see during the peak season of past years, she said. "There is still quite a bit of risk. There is ongoing transmission," she said. The state has also noticed a growing second wave, influenza B, which is not uncommon, she said. Those who have had influenza A can still get influenza B because they are a different virus. In La Plata and Archuleta counties, San Juan Basin Public Health has also noticed an increase in both types of viruses this season compared with previous years, agency spokeswoman Claire Nind said. And now let's take a look at the weather.
Our National Weather Outlook map from NOAA shows the low-pressure system in the midst of the Rocky Mountains and west, where it's bringing moisture off the west coast with rain and snow mixes prevalent. There's a steady high pressure holding over the central part of the U.S., providing some clearing up as many states are dealing with post-devastating flooding. A low-pressure system from the Gulf up into the southeast is bringing rain and thunderstorms across that region. Regionally, a trough of low pressure deepens along the west coast, so that mid and high level clouds will continue to stream across the north, resulting in partly to mostly cloudy conditions throughout the day, while the south will have mostly sunny skies. Expect afternoon highs to climb to near normal levels once again as we climb out of the winter storms from late last week. Tonight, the winds will be leaving mostly clear skies over the region. Overnight lows will be less cold in response to the warm air moving in from the west coast. Dry conditions continue into Tuesday as the low the low drifts slowly southward over Southern California, and as that pattern shifts there, it will be a good chance for snow showers with light accumulations in the eastern Utah Mountains. Elsewhere, expect dry conditions and sunny skies. Temperatures will warm a few degrees. The low pressure system over Southern California will slowly weaken as it moves east just south of the forecast area Tuesday night through Wednesday night. There is that relatively weak chance of some snow accumulations possible, with the best chance across the San Juan Mountains, with lesser amounts over the central and northern mountains. An increasing southwest flow will develop on Thursday and Friday ahead of the next storm system, which will be centered off of the Washington coast by late Thursday. That storm may travel north of our area. We'll know more as it gets closer to our region. There is a chance of precipitation across the northern and central mountains for Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures will be slightly below normal through the extended period. The DCTV 5-day local outlook shows it to be sunny today with a high near 43, breezy with a south wind 15 to 20 miles an hour, and tonight mostly clear with a low around 21 degrees. South-southeast winds around 10 miles an hour. Tuesday sunny with a high near 45. South-southwest winds 5 to 15 miles an hour with gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Tuesday night, a 20% chance of snow showers is available after 11 p.m. That's Tuesday night. Mostly cloudy with a low around 23, south winds around 5 miles an hour. Wednesday morning, a 30% chance of snow continues before 11 a.m. Partly sunny with a high near 40 for the rest of the day. Light and variable winds becoming northwest 10 to 15 miles an hour in the morning. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low to 19 degrees. Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 43. Thursday night, mostly cloudy with a low to 27. Friday, sunny with a high near 49 degrees. Friday night, partly cloudy with a low around 29, and Saturday, mostly sunny with a high near 49. Saturday night, partly cloudy with a low of 26. And now, back to the news.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, a Colorado deputy is accused of having sex with a woman while she was being held in jail. The Weld County Sheriff's Office says 26-year-old Zachary Cullison was arrested on Friday on suspicion of sexual conduct in a correctional institution. The Greeley Tribune reports that investigators believe Cullison and a female inmate had consensual sex in a bathroom out of view of security cameras. Cullison began working at the jail in August 2016. He's been placed on unpaid leave. It's not clear if he has an attorney.
Antler hunters face new regulations, as reported in the Journal. Because of the increasing popularity of antler hunting, Colorado Parks and Wildlife has enacted a regulation that prohibits antler and horn collection from January 1st to April 30th. The regulation, in effect on public lands west of Interstate 25, intends to protect wintering deer and elk. It takes effect on March 2nd, and violators face a fine of $68. Deer, elk, and moose shed their antlers in winter, but when collectors search for them in winter, it puts stress on the animals, said Joe Lewandowski, a spokesman for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. The ban was enacted to protect deer and elk from disturbance during the winter when they are weakest and most vulnerable, he said. Fleeing from humans adds stress, leads to injury or mortality, and can cause weaker newborns. In addition to further protect the Gunnison sage grouse, the new regulations include a time of day closure in the Gunnison Basin, May 1st through the 15th, from sunset to 10 a.m. A permit is not required to collect shed antlers in Colorado. Although shed collection is not a new activity in the state, its popularity has rapidly increased in the past 10 years, prompting the Parks and Wildlife Commission to enact the winter ban during its January 11th meeting. Once considered a recreational activity for families or a source for a unique medium for artisans, shed collection is now a major business, according to a CPW press release. Freshly shed elk antlers with their brown hue are more desirable and go for $13 to $15 per pound. Freshly shed deer antlers go for $8 to $10 a pound. Older, sun-bleached antlers and horns sell for about half as much. They are used for wall displays and to make folk art, chandeliers, furniture, coat racks, and knife handles. 10 years ago, casual collectors, usually hunters, visited winter range areas to look for freshly shed antlers, hopefully finding a matching pair that can be mounted on a wall. But wildlife officers are seeing a more aggressive approach in the past few years, said Matt Thorpe, Area Wildlife Area Manager for Southwest Colorado. He cites reports of people illegally chasing deer and elk into the trees so they'll knock their antlers off. Sometimes ATVs and snowmobiles are used for the chase. An illegal trap involving bait and chicken wire has also been seen. The wire catches the antler and pulls them off, Thorpe said. It is illegal harassment of wildlife. The Parks and Wildlife Commission was also concerned about the grid search tactic used by collectors, which puts them in elk and deer winter habitat longer. The Gunnison area has long had an antler collection closure between January 1st and March 14th to protect a large winter range depended on by deer and elk. Competition for shed antlers is picking up. Gunnison is used to seeing vehicles lining up along the roads in the days before the seasonal ban is lifted. Now that will be happening everywhere west of I-25 beginning May 1st. The first year, we are working to inform the public of the new regulations and reaching out to shed antler hunters about it, Lewandowski said. Information and public responses will be gathered and reported back to the Wildlife Commission. Hikers or others traveling in the area close to shed antler hunting are advised to not pick up antlers or horns because it is difficult for a CPW officer to differentiate between them and someone who entered the area for the purpose of shed collecting. Antler hunters are miffed how hikers can still be in the areas that they are now prohibited from.
According to the Cortez Journal, a New Mexico boy who authorities said endured years of abuse and was found buried along the side of a rural highway had not attended school for several months. Jeremiah Valencia's mother, Tracy Pina, pulled him out of a Las Vegas, New Mexico middle school in February 2017 and told school officials she would enroll him in a Santa Fe school. But she never did, and school and state officials did not notice, the Santa Fe New Mexican reported. Valencia had been out of school for at least 7 months before he died, police said. Authorities did not discover the 13-year-old's body until 2 months after his estimated death in November because no one reported Valencia as missing, they said. Pina's boyfriend, Thomas Ferguson, age 42, was indicted last week on first-degree murder and 17 other felony counts related to Valencia's death. Police believe he brutally beat the teen to death while Pina was in jail on a warrant for failing to appear in court. Pina and Ferguson's son, 19-year-old Jordan Nunes, also is facing charges in the case. Authorities learned about Valencia's murder in January when Pina told another county jail inmate about her son's death and named Ferguson as the person who killed the teen. The inmate shared the information with the sheriff's investigators. Under state law, parents are required to enroll children between the ages of 5 and 18 in school. However, there is no specific state official responsible for ensuring that happens when students are transferred between districts or taken from a public school to a private or charter school. In Valencia's case, West Las Vegas Middle School officials believed the teen had been transferred to Chapshaw Middle School because a code showed that he was a student there, said Christopher Gutierrez, the superintendent for the Las Vegas district. Records show a preliminary registration form had been filled out for Valencia, but he never became a student, said Jeff Geppert, a spokesman for the Santa Fe Public Schools. Gutierrez told the New Mexican that staff members did their due diligence when they tried to follow up on Valencia, but said he has implemented changes following his death.
A food and travel TV series was filmed in Durango through the weekend, as reported in the Durango Herald. Television crews filmed a show this weekend at locations in Durango, including the Railroad Depot, Rochester Hotel and Leland House, El Moro Spirits and Tavern, Bookcase and Barber, and Honeyville. The show, Frontier Tastes and Tales, follows Jimmy Lakey, an adventurer and food and travel expert, as he explores the historical and cultural sites, cuisines and beverages, interesting characters, and hole-in-the-wall, colorful narratives of the North American frontier. The director, Jim Bryan, said filming started in Wyoming and continued to northern Colorado. The crew spent Thursday night in Pagosa Springs before arriving in Durango on Friday afternoon. The film crew was in Durango through Sunday before they moved on to film in New Mexico and Texas over the next few weeks. A show like this is all about these places giving us good stories, good beer and food, and then we turn around and give them good exposure when people see it on television, Bryan said. It's kind of the same concept as food and travel shows like Anthony Bourdain's No Reservations, except it's not focused on big cities. We want to keep it in the frontier theme and look for the out-of-the-way towns. Bryan said Durango is the largest city besides Cheyenne where they have filmed so far. They chose Durango over a city like Boulder, for example, because it's a place that has retained its Old West heritage and the little stories that haven't been told nationally. Bryan said that the show has a 2-year syndication commitment. Filming is expected to continue into 2020 throughout the North American frontier, from Texas to Alaska, California to Ohio, and throughout the Rocky Mountains. He said that the Durango area is being considered by Television Syndicate Company as a centralized location for a film studio. The proposed editing and production studio would consolidate other studios of the production company into a central location in the Four Corners or Durango area. The first 13 episodes of the series being filmed right now are expected to be ready for editing by mid-March. For more information, visit frontiertastesandtales.com.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of February 19th through the 25th. During the high winds last week, the Sheriff's Office received reports of a roof being blown off a house, a carport turned upside down, and a trampoline blown into an electric line. A caller reported their car had been hit while parked in the front of the Community Voice office. An officer took a report. A caller reported a vehicle made a U-turn in front of them by the liquor store. Deputies were not able to locate the suspect vehicle. Responded to several calls of minor vehicle accidents caused by icy road conditions. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates.
Today's High Canyon Country Happenings, March 10th and 11th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. Mancos Creative District wants to help you chalk it up. Hosting at Hello Zark, tickets are available at schoolofthewest.org. It's for ages 16 and up, and the cost is $175 per person. All materials are included. Local businesses have an opportunity to donate their chalkboards for students' designs and paid in time for the Mancos Melt event. In this two-day workshop, they will cover everything you need to know to make a stand-out chalkboard for your business event or just for fun. February 27th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at the Dolores Community Center, it's Bingo and Soup Supper to benefit the DAV, Disabled American Veterans. Dinner starts at 6:30 p.m. and bingo starts around 7. At the Dolores Community Center, it's $5 per person for the soup supper, $10 per card for bingo, and play all 10 games with each card. They'll also be auctioning off desserts to help raise money, and will be taking any general donations on their behalf, and any dessert donations for the auction can be brought in that evening. Please help them get the word out to others. February 28th, the Cortez Cultural Center is hosting Travel Scotland, Like Us Local. Please join Ian, a Scottish native, as he shares his first-hand knowledge of Scotland, both regional highlights and lesser-known destinations. There will be refreshments of the Scottish type. It's free at the Cultural Center from 6 to 8 p.m. And all of these happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather, and original stories and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. Email dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station 970-677-4119, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs at noon Monday through Thursday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. on each of those days. The weekday news shows are then replayed throughout the weekend as well.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook with DCTV and the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.